Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 6th of June 2022. It's Gary here again, and well, I'm pretty sure you can tell just by that first sentence or so that I said that I am kind of tired this evening. This week's pod will be slightly different than regular pods, due to the all-consuming main thing in NARSA land this past week, of course, being the 2022 convention that I just got back home to Calgary from a very short while ago. And I'm sure you can tell by my voice that it was an absolutely great time. So apologies for how it might sound this week, but I'm fairly sure that, quite honestly, you didn't expect anything less. So the pod likely won't be broadcast or won't drop, as they say in the industry, until Tuesday morning, my time, as I'm not long home, and by the time I got organised, it's actually 9:47 p.m. here on Monday night, and that's likely not long enough time to get it all prepped and get the communications done and out to everyone. So I will start by apologising for that, and we'll get that out to you tomorrow morning, I'm assuming or hoping it's going to be. So on to the convention. Wow, what an incredible experience it turned out to be. Just so fantastic to get everyone together and see them having an absolute blast at every single one of the events that we hosted and that were hosted in this past 5 days or so. What I'd like to do this week is just run through what I can remember right now from the events in somewhat chronological order. And when I say what I can remember, partly that might be anticipated or assumed to be alcohol related, but a lot of it's just so overwhelming, the amount of stuff that happens at these events as well, that I'll probably forget some poignant stuff this week, and I'll try and include them as the weeks go on and things start to come back into memory, or people start to feed information through to me about things that maybe I missed or something like that. So forgive me if I miss anything absolutely poignant at this particular point. So firstly, I arrived on Wednesday afternoon in Las Vegas, and just basically missing the tail end of the Scottish men's national team's failed bid, unfortunately, to reach the World Cup finals when they lost to the Ukraine, who then went on to lose to Wales in the final qualifier yesterday morning. And in the afternoon, I had meetings with the hotel event staff, and then I had meetings with security staff. So unfortunately, I just couldn't make it over to the Las Vegas Loyal Rangers Supporters Club Welcome Bash, which they hosted on Wednesday afternoon, which I was a wee bit bummed about, to be honest. I had already had made plans with a couple of folks on the NARSA executive to head over there, and also I was going to drag our MC David Edgar over. So a bit of a downer that I had to end up working in the afternoon and not get to do that. And then before the mayhem started, our MC, David, as I just mentioned there, for NARSA 2022, and of course David is from Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. Him and I had a chance to catch up over dinner, kind of plan, work and talk through the event, see what was going to happen, see what was required, solidify the agendas and the schedules and things like that. So we had a lovely catch up over a fantastic steak dinner, and then got to see the Cirque du Soleil's Love show over at the Mirage, which was brilliant. If you don't know what the Love show is, it's a Beatles themed acrobatic show. Just utterly brilliant. These folks are tremendous athletes. The music was excellent. Each song was explained superbly well. Just a fantastic experience, and it was most definitely the calm before the storm, in terms of the way that the pace upped a little bit, let's just say, over the next few days. So Thursday was all about prepping for the first official NARSA event, which basically involved a whole bunch of running around in the morning and afternoon, meetings, planning, setup, organising logistics and things like that. The Thursday welcome event basically helps all the guests and ourselves from an organising committee perspective ease into the weekend. And we had DJ Joe Cully entertain the crowd with his wildly energetic showmanship and the tunes for the night. And we also took some time out for a Q&A with our former player VIPs, including Richard Gough, Colin Steen, Willie Johnson, Peter McCloy, Andy Gray, Gordon Smith, Davy Robertson, and Craig Moore. And it was hosted by David Edgar. And it is kind of tough to keep a crowd of well over 2,000 people engaged and entertained for one of these types of events, but we did manage to do that, and hopefully the folks that were in attendance at the Q&A were firstly entertained and secondly maybe even educated with some of the topics that were covered and some of the information that was shared during that part. Friday morning I attended the Davy Cooper Memorial Golf Tournament at the Revere Golf Course, and was fortunate enough to have some great playing partners in my friends Martin Bell and Scott Robertson from Chicago, and also Graham Bell from Orange County. Graham is Brian Campbell's brother, Brian Campbell, the VP of NARSA. Graham was a late but very well worthy replacement for Craig Moore, who had to withdraw earlier in the day, I should say, due to ongoing work commitments that he has in his role as a football agent now. You know, that's what he said anyway. When I get a text about 6:15 in the morning saying, yeah, I can't make it, I have to work, I have to admit to a slight degree of suspicion as to whether that's all it was. But he assures me it was working. Let's just say that that's the case. And it would have been great to hang out with Big Oz for the day, I have to say, because he was just such a brilliant guy and such great company. But the lads and I had a great day, a few beers, a lovely lunch, and lots of laughs. I even hit a decent shot or two during the round, which is always a wee bit nice. And the golf was just superbly well organised from start to finish, and it just makes for a much more slick, easier and more enjoyable day when everything goes well, and the club were very, very well organised. So thank you, well done to Brian and Campbell and his team for organising that very successful day. On Friday night, I think I fairly confident we helped continue the memorial legacy of one of the founding fathers of NARSA with our Friday night Tam Plunkett Blue Night. The Tam Plunkett Blue Night, of course, being named after one of our founding fathers, Tam Plunkett, of course. And it's always great to see and catch up with Tam's family there. And we were entertained again by DJ Joe Cully with some musical interludes by a severely depleted Govan Protestant Boys flute band, of whom they had an absolute nightmare trying to get to Vegas, and were eventually told by their airline, I believe it was BA, but it might not have been BA for everyone, I'm not 100% sure, that their flights were essentially cancelled with no realistic alternative way of getting to Las Vegas presented. So I think we ended up with just over a third of the guys that were supposed to show up, and we were anticipating 22, which was just such a shame for them, because I know the guys who couldn't make it along were absolutely gutted. I'd communicated with a couple of them. All that planning and organising they put in for themselves and with their families and with their friends, and no doubt with their employers too, all just to get told, nope, you can't and won't be able to make it. Just my heart was breaking for the guys, it really was. And the guys who did show up though, put in a superhuman effort to entertain the crowd, and man did they ever do a brilliant job. The atmosphere these guys generate is just incredible, and even with maybe a wee bit less volume than we had planned for, just due to the sheer numbers of people that were there playing, the crowd most certainly got what they wanted, and it was tremendous fun. And in between their sets, we also had a musician and new best friend of NARSA, Callum Beattie, perform a couple of sets of Rangers-related crowd pleasers, and wow, was he ever great. I was fortunate to spend a wee bit of time with him in our wee VIP room just before the event really got going, and some of the songs that he performed in the first and second sets, he'd kind of literally learned minutes before going on stage, on his phone, and just kind of strumming away on his guitar just with a bit of practice. And that is talent personified, and what a great job he did. I think it's fair to say we now have a new blueprint for the Tam Plunkett Blue Night, where we can give attendees their money's worth with a wee bit more Rangers related variety as the night progresses, and maybe not just keep it with the DJ and the flute band. So it was great to try it out, and even better the fact that it was a huge success. The dance floor was packed when Callum was on, and they're just loving it. Really, live music is just great. Saturday morning, we had the Absent Friends football tournament, where Orange County, with apparently Some very generous refereeing won the overall tournament, but the prevailing, I believe, 1-0 in the final, and it might have been a dodgy penalty they got as well. I'm paraphrasing from a few stories I heard from other players. I was on Team Canada, and we had a special guest star come and play with us in the games, and that was Callum Beattie himself, just hot from the stage from the night before. What a committed young fella he really is. He played really well too, good player, and he just doesn't mind a challenge and really worked his socks off in both games. Took it pretty seriously as well, you know. And unfortunately, our team lost the first game on penalties with Heart and Hand's very own Ross Adair, complete with his boots taped together so they wouldn't disintegrate from the bottom of his feet. Ross doing his very best Aaron Ramsey impression and completely fluffing his kick. I actually can't remember who missed the final kick to lose us the game because it wasn't Ross, but he gets a special mention as he's the main one that I can remember, and it's kind of funny. We were coached by both Andy Gray and Gordon Smith, and I have to tell you, these guys know how to read a game and are still very much competitors to their core. The second game we lost, I think it was something like 3-1 or maybe 4-2 or something like that, to a bunch of young guys basically murdering us on the break because we're all old and slow, especially at the back. But Calgary's very own Davy McDonald scored our goal, or one of our goals, taking it around their goalie and coolly slotting it home. So he was pretty chuffed with himself, and I was pretty happy for him too. It was just brilliant fun, very well organised. I liked the golf and executed, and just more camaraderie for everyone involved, you know, for the players and the spectators that made it along. And I just want to pass on my sincere thanks and congratulations to Alan McWatt and Brian Campbell and the team, the organising team at Orange County, for their organisation of the event. Just really great fun and a good way, quite honestly, to sweat most of Friday night out of us in preparation for putting it all back in us as the day progresses on Saturday. Saturday afternoon was the NARSA annual general meeting that I was a few minutes late for due to the bus timing and the buses coming back from the game. There was a wee bit of delay on that, but the meeting went quite well with some really good, honest and open dialogue about NARSA's current activities, our current operating model, our current relationship and plans with RTV and our plans for the future. And some great ideas came out of some of that dialogue that we'll definitely be following up on as the summer and the new season progresses. And I really do look forward to that. That's the stuff that gets me excited, and hopefully we can enjoy some active collaboration and communication with our membership going forward and see where it takes us. And the other big thing from that was that we did hold an election for the communications director role, and well, actually we did need to hold an election. My apologies. We had Fraser Muir from Vancouver Downtown Club being voted in via acclamation because no one else stood against him. So congratulations and welcome aboard to Fraser. Really looking forward to working with you and building out the communications portfolio as we move forward. We also had the honour of having Walter Smith's, I think you probably heard me talking about this quite a wee bit, but we had the honour of having Walter Smith's wife Ethel, my apologies, and his sister Liz join us for our inaugural Walter Smith Memorial Grand Banquet on Saturday night. Ethel actually was also at the Thursday welcome event as well, and you can most likely tell by now that almost all of our events are in honour of past Rangers or NARSA greats or absent friends, and that's an important aspect of our organisation, is to honour those who have served a major part in our lives and our history in shaping both our football club and our supporters association over here in North America. We were thrilled that Ethel and family agreed to allow us to rename our grand banquet in Walter's name, and the meal and entertainment on the night were absolutely fantastic. To cater for almost 1,800 guests at the grand banquet and provide the kind of service and quality of meal that the Planet Hollywood staff did was nothing short of spectacular to me. And a real highlight was the way that they brought in the dessert when we got to that stage of the meal. We managed to have the cheesecake dessert come with an accompanying white chocolate circle that had our specially designed NARSA 2022 badge on it that Chris Lovett, our communications guy, did using some of his artistic creativity, and he did a brilliant job of that. So, and that's also what was on the medallions that were gifted out on the Friday night. And the way they brought the dessert in was that Joe Cully made an announcement thanking the staff and then kind of setting the scene for something was going to happen. And I don't mind admitting that at the time I was thinking, whoa, what's going on here? This is not an agreed upon part of the programme, and I'm getting a wee bit nervous as to what's going down, quite frankly. Then the music starts, and then the servers come in 2 rows coming down the hall with giant trays of desserts and just kind of loving it and making it, a big party. And then the crowd started getting into it. Initially they were clapping their hands and stuff like that, and then they started waving and twirling the blue and red table napkins that were there in the air. And from where I was sitting over at the head table, it looked absolutely incredible. I actually took a video of it at the time. It's just incredible to see, and everybody was loving it, and the staff were loving it as well. And so all in all, with my initial nervousness out the way, it was a very pleasant surprise and very, very well done. I had Brian Beckner, who was our main executive director contact at the hotel. He came over almost immediately after the meal was done to ask me if that was actually okay to do what they did, because they wanted to do something to surprise us with something a wee bit different. And 100% it was okay, and it's something that I think I'll talk to future hotels about too, as it was such a cool touch, for them to embrace the event, for them to get involved with the event, and for them to really kind of go out to add a wee bit more experience to the event as well. It may not be possible for all future occasions to be able to do something like that, but we can always ask and see, and maybe have a wee bit of competitive spirit in there for the hotels to kind of try and outdo each other from year to year. But a superb experience to be part of. And once the auction that we had after the meal was done and dusted, and David Edgar had expertly orchestrated some fundraising on that auction for the Rangers Charity Foundation, the Former Players Benevolence Club, and NARSA, we passed it over after that. The auction, as I say, was done to Las Vegas Loyal's very own Jimmy Denning and his band to entertain us for the night with a couple of wee interludes by Joe Cully when the band were on breaks. And the band were absolutely incredible, just fantastic. They nailed it with floor fillers and crowd pleasers the entire night, and they were just brilliant. Everybody that I spoke to were very, very impressed by that. And at the same time, Greg Marshall from Rangers, the SLO, from Rangers Football Club, had managed to nab us the replica European Cup Winners' Cup, basically a week after us finding out we weren't going to get anything. And we had a queue for about 3 hours, it must have been, for people trying to get their photographs with the trophy. So it was great to see that folks got something from that. Some of the photographs they had looked amazing, looked very poignant. Lots of family, lots of friends getting together, very respectful of the trophy itself too. So thank you very, very much to Greg for whatever strings he had to pull to get at least that trophy with us in Vegas. All in all, Saturday night was a brilliant night. Many years ago, I was told, I think it was probably by John Miller or maybe even Bobby Smith at the time, I'm not sure. They said, the convention is based, I'm paraphrasing, but the convention is basically measured on a couple of big things. One, you do not run out of alcohol. Two, make the meal the best meal it can possibly be. And three, make sure the band are good as well on the Saturday night. And we nailed it on all three, to be perfectly honest. So Sunday, seen us head to a venue called The Space for the Leaving Do that was hosted by the Las Vegas Loyal. And again, we had a mix of entertainment for the attendees there. Joe Cully doing his energetic thing, which was great again. The Govan Protestant Boys doing theirs in a more casual setting than we had on the Friday night, and David Edgar hosting a Heart and Hand live show with Craig Moore, Martin Ramsey and myself on the panel, and that went superbly well. Just something a wee bit different to give the punters that were there and the feedback that we got was overall very, very positive for the event on Sunday as well. The location was great. The venue was really, really good. The Las Vegas guys had everything set up really well, and we almost had a kind of full Monty moment at the end on the kind of last song that Joe Cully had played. A bunch of the guys went a bit shirtless on the stage there and and getting right into it. I was glad that I was at the other side of the room, I tell you, because I might have got involved in that myself, and nobody wants to see that. And there you have it, folks. That was my personal NARSA 2022 experience. We went into the wee hours of the mornings every single night, and so sleep was a bit of a rare commodity, I don't mind admitting. And as soon as I am done this pod, I am going to go straight to bed. But yeah, there you have it, folks. That was it done. NARSA's largest ever convention. It wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. It was quite honestly really, really hard work, and at times frustrating, and at times pretty overwhelming. Both planning and during the event. But your NARSA executive put in an incredible effort, both during the planning and during the actual event. And we were somewhat supported by some significant others, and by a tremendous Planet Hollywood staff as well. And I think we pulled it off. It was as good as it could have been. Were there things that didn't go to plan? Of course there were. And what we'll do is what we always do is we'll rest up for a while, and then with some clear heads at a point later in time, or later in the month, or early next month, or something like that, we'll conduct our lessons learned conversations, and we'll celebrate the wins, and we'll learn from the whoopsie moments, and we'll bring all of the learnings to Toronto for next year's event, and of course subsequent years' events from there. We're not going to please everyone, and I've heard about the odd grumble on social media, which is really too bad. To put on a 2,300 plus person event, for the first time in a 30-year history, you're not going to be able to please everyone, and I'm just really not sure why folks have to take to social media to complain about the things that weren't to their exact liking. It's just, I don't get it. It's just not my style at all, but each to their own, whatever. They'll be more than welcome to come back and complain next year and every year thereafter as well. Or even better, maybe they could acknowledge the fact that every single person on the NARSA executive and the other helpers that we were fortunate enough to have worked with us are all volunteers. No one's getting paid for any of this work, folks, and we're all very busy professionals with our own busy lives and our own careers to look after, and our common bond being the fact that we love Rangers and we want to keep the overseas Rangers community together. That would be kind of nice if that was understood and appreciated, and I know that it is by most. There's just that handful of people that can't help themselves. I said yesterday actually at the Heart and Hand live show that if anyone has ran a supporters bus or organised any kind of event or tried to ensure that human beings other than themselves have to do something or be somewhere or act in a certain way, they'll have an appreciation for how hard that is to do, how things can go. There's the event that you plan, there's the event that you actually have, and then there's the event you should have had. It's a kind of 3-tier thing. Let's concentrate on the positives, because there was so many of them, and we'll leave the negative types to do their thing. One other thing I didn't actually mention when I did the AGM update just a wee while ago there was we did have it confirmed for the NARSA 2024 convention that it's going to be in New York City, in New York State in 2024. So that's generated a lot of excitement as well. So it's great. It's going to be our first time ever in New York, and it's going to be something special. The folks down there have put together a great package, and they're organised. They know exactly what has to be done, and with the benefit of 2 years of planning, it's going to be a lot less fraught and frantic than we had for Vegas. Because although Vegas was 3 years in the making, it was obviously very kind of panicky after the pandemic was done and our final throes of planning and stuff like that. And some final thanks. I wanted to say a special thanks a million to everyone who emailed me beforehand to let me know about the number of unused tickets that they had, either for themselves or their party, because that really helped us manage expectations for specifically the Walter Smith Memorial Grand Banquet in terms of how many meals basically not to make. And just it kind of helps us with the table setup and stuff like that as well. I didn't get a chance to respond to anyone. It was just so frantic in the last few days, but thank you very much to everybody that let us know, because it really genuinely did help. And thanks to our sponsors, our partners and supporters, Richard and Karen Martin, Rosie and Jim Ratter from the Holiday and Flight Centre, Graham Clark from 5 Stars, Mark Dingwall from Follow, and of course Greg Marshall from Rangers Football Club for all of their input, and whether it be in sponsorships or donation or general support. There are so many people contributing to the organisation and the association and the conventions in particular. That you don't really see that all from the sidelines, and it really adds up to a genuine community and family feel, and we truly just can't pull off what we managed to pull off without their help, support and time. And of course that's extended to David and Martin from Heart and Hand as well, for so expertly looking after things as we progressed through the events. And where we got to was, at the end of the day, we had a fantastic event. Everybody had a lot of fun at the event, and the VIP, and I include the VIPs in that, and each one of the VIPs, almost all of the VIPs, I think maybe apart from Craig Moore, had been before. Ethel and Liz obviously hadn't been before in a VIP guest capacity. They'd attended a couple in years gone by. Certainly Ethel did, but Craig Moore I think was the only new person. But each of the ones that were there before had commented on just how well run it was, how well executed it was, how much fun it was as well. So it's great to hear all that kind of stuff as well, so it's like everyone had a chance to really experience something new, something unique, something different, something very welcome after a long time of being out of commission with the conventions. So that's going to do it for this week, my friends. Our first convention, as I say, in 3 years was a success. And of course, as you can hear, it's absolutely taken its toll on me. Oh boy. And the atmosphere and camaraderie I witnessed and experienced will genuinely live with me forever. I'm so grateful for everyone's hard work and dedication to make the event possible. I said last week that I was going to try and organise some sound bites from each of the VIPs to be able to maybe kind of intersperse in the next few podcasts. It was a pipe dream. I never got a chance to do that. I know that David was doing that, ad hoc and kind of on the fly during the event and stuff like that. So if you're a subscriber to Heart and Hand, hopefully you have an opportunity to hear some of that stuff, and we'll maybe talk to David and see if we can kind of compile some of the stuff he's got and put it out over our own, or under our own umbrella as well, if they're able to do something like that. So yeah, pipe dream, but nice idea, Gary. You kind of forget how busy you get at these events. And I also said last week that I would be in the same city as some friends and not get a chance to talk to them, or certainly not get a chance to talk to them and spend as much time with them as I hoped, and that's what happened. There's lots and lots of folks did come over to say hello and pass on their thanks to the team for the great organising, and also to pass on their sincere condolences for me and my family on my dad Ronnie's passing, which was absolutely humbling, very much appreciated, and quite emotional. And I can truly say that it genuinely helped me personally continue through my own personal grieving journey as I adjust to life without him. I don't mind admitting here, with all of our friends here on the NARSA Weekly Update podcast, that I had a rough first 3 days in Vegas there, as it was, emotions are all over the place, and it ends up becoming a bit confusing, and it's just difficult to keep on the same level as I would like to keep on for that sort of thing. But from Saturday onwards, the love and support I personally received from so many people in Vegas was just incredible, and it just helped me truly enjoy the last 2 days with a more full heart and probably more full concentration level than I had earlier in the event. And for everybody that did that, you might have thought it was just a 30 to 90-second catch up with a wee baldy guy and something nice to say, but the impact that you've had on me has been wonderful and so very much appreciated. So thank you again. For next week's podcast, I'm not 100% sure what you can expect in terms of timing, or whether even it will go ahead in the first place. And the reason I say that is that Monday is my dad's funeral, and I'll be back home in Paisley for that. If I can, I'll record it in the morning, or maybe even try for Sunday or Tuesday maybe, or something like that. One thing I do know is it won't be at the same typical time as we have, because I'll be in the UK. I'll be on the UK time, not Canadian Mountain Time. But I'll do what I can. So forgive me if it's not what it needs to be next week. This helps me keep my mind off things, to be dead honest. So I would like to try and endeavour to do something at some point, but it just won't be quite the same. And then after next week, we'll get back to normal and work through the summer and see what the signings are going to look like, and see what the team is shaping up like, and with and for next season. So as always, my friends, thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen. Please do share it with whomever you think might enjoy it. And until next week, or whenever it's going to be, please do take care. I hope all the Vegas Bears got home safe and sound. And until next time, all the very best. Cheerio.